Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Isadora. Hope you're all having a good week. Okay, so today I just wanted to get into the message as soon as possible because it might be a bit of a long one and I want to be really mindful of the time. So, today I wanted to talk about narcissism and obviously last week I'd said I wouldn't be doing any more pre-planned messages. I would just try to turn on my camera and speak, so it might not be as put together as you'd like it to be, so please bear with me on that. But I would really try to be mindful of time and cover all the details today. So anyway, so narcissism, like I said last week, I started off my channel talking about that. I was talking about spirituality, psychology, and all those things, and it seemed really unacceptable. Not because anybody was really telling me. Well, people told me, like, I would get calls and people say, oh, are you referring to this person, are you referring to that person, are you referring? I'm like, okay, yes, we all have narcissistic traits, right? Why does it have to be one person or the other I'm referring to? Do you understand? So I realized that it was really a bother, but that wasn't really my real reason for stopping. I watered it down. I went into very generic topics because at the same time so many things were happening in my life. Like, so many bad stuff started to happen to me. So it was almost like maybe somebody trying to make me afraid. Do you understand? Of talking about it. And to be honest, I did get really afraid. Do you understand? And it was almost like after I stopped talking about it was when things slowed down and calmed down a bit. Do you understand? So I wanted to stick to generic stuff. But come December, and I was trying to end up for the year and everything, and I realized that I wasn't even doing what I was supposed to be doing. I wasn't doing anything about what I started the channel for. Because the truth is, I don't understand why I have to be afraid. I'm not, it was never really supposed to be for me, which is why I've had to take myself off Instagram and stay on YouTube so that, because YouTube is where I learn about this stuff as well and I get to hear other people's story and it has helped me. So I have been through narcissistic abuse for 13 years, if not more. I'm talking about mind breaking, earth shattering sort of abuse from different people, friends, all sorts. People I'm in a relationship with. Not everybody, don't get me wrong. I've had really great people in my life. But this is something I have suffered like over and over and over again. So I understood why I was supposed to talk about it, to help other people, to educate people on it, not for a personal gain. But I became afraid, so I stopped. I stopped talking about anything. So I went into very generic topics, but I knew deep down that I was doing something wrong. So come this year, I wanted to start out my channel and I just didn't feel like it. I almost felt like giving it up because I was doing something else because of out of fear. Do you understand? And I had to dig deep. Whatever works for everybody. Like I said, this has never been a religious thing. It's just for me, it's what works for me. I'm of the Christian faith, so I tend to pray. You understand? Sometimes. Anyway, I tend to pray. That's what I do for me. Whatever works for everybody. So some people, some people meditate, some people seek counseling, some people, whatever works for anybody to get out of it. For me, I had to pray. I had to get closer to God in that way. And to be honest, like I said as well, I learned a lot from YouTube, which is why I think like every different strokes for different folks, right? Like every social media handle has their users. Instagram is more of like the generic stuff like fashion and all that and comedy. YouTube is more of news, stories, life stuff. So I feel like YouTube is more suited for what I'm talking about. So anyway, so I started to dig deep and I knew this was my next topic. I wanted to talk about narcissism, but I had it all planned out. But in the course of the week, whilst digging deep, my issue was like, since I since I started talking about narcissism, like I said, I felt like, all sorts of horrible stuff started happening in my life and losing businesses, all sorts, just loss. So I felt like it wasn't something I should be discussing. So now that I decided to go back to what I was actually supposed to do, I realized that it started again. And since I decided to actually focus and start talking about my experience, sharing my experience, educating other people that might be going through the same kind of situation, um, I have experienced like the worst of it. I have been gang stalked. I have been set up. I have been lied on, you know, by the most unbelievable people as well. That's the funny part of it. You know, most of the time, yeah, I did. Most of the time when I was set up, I would walk right into the trap before I realized that I was being set up. For whatever reason, I've been lied on, all sorts, just so that I can tell my story. But it doesn't matter because it's too late. I grew and I healed by listening to other people. For 13 years, I think I may have something valuable that can help other people going through the same situation as well. So I started to dig deep and I went back into prayer, went back into the drawing board. I knew I wanted to talk about narcissism and like I said, especially what's it called? Since I posted the last video, you know when you're just walking and you feel like there's like a million eyes on you and you know you're being watched and you know you're being set up and you know you're being ganged up and people will call me and I can tell that's what they're doing. And it's supposed to be helpful, but like I said, 13 years of experience is no joke, right? So anyway, I started to dig deep. Went back into a place of prayer and was trying to find out why. I mean, yes, so many people, I'm not going to cry wolf and say why me, right? A lot of people, some people have been going through this for like what, their whole lives, maybe 30 years or something more. But for me, it's painful because especially when you know who you are and you're good to people, but they turn and for whatever reason anyway. So I just started to dig deep because it wasn't really about what those people were doing for me at the end of the day. Like I said, 13 years of experience, right? It was really about what was prompting them to do it, which would be my foundation. So like we'll go into all these deep details later, but I'll just try to keep it as logical as possible. So and not go too much into spiritual, but I do want you to know that anyway, I'll get to that. So I'll try to keep it as logical as possible. So I started to dig deeper, like, you know, why were these things happening? Do you understand? And I mean, I really didn't get an answer till maybe, I don't know, maybe about 24, 48 hours ago. It was something I'd forgotten for a very long time. Completely. Now, let me explain. What is narcissism, or what causes narcissism? There are two types of narcissists. There's the overt narcissist and there's the covert narcissist. The overt narcissist is the boisterous, obvious narcissist, obviously. The covert ones are a little bit more dangerous because you can never tell till the damage is done. Like I said, I've walked into so many traps recently before I realized I was in a trap. So basically, so yeah. So anyway, we covert narcissists, you can't really, and that tends to be the bit more dangerous one. Now let me explain. Like, as human beings, we are spiritual beings experiencing a human experience, having a human experience. You see, this meat suit is just a cover for who we really are. Like, we're spirit beings, we're just having a human experience. Now let me prove it to you, right? Take a good look at somebody you know very well. Look at them very well. Look at their face. Take in their features. Study them. Then you realize that they don't look like what you thought they looked like. I don't know. I know it doesn't make any sense, but please do it. Like, go and just look at somebody. Have a good look at them. Do you understand? Look at their face. Study them and everything. Do you understand? You realize that they don't look like what you thought they look like. they look different. If you notice, like two people when they live in a house together, right? Like especially when they're intimate, like a man and a woman or whatever, after a while, after a long time, they start to look like each other because our skin can morph, it can shapeshift, it can form, take shape, but our spirit can't. That's who we really are. So this meat suit, sometimes people will look a certain way, then you see them the next day, then they look totally different, and you're like, oh, are you okay? Something wrong? Do you understand? So our skin, this meat suit can take another form. It's not static. It changes. Do you understand? So it's not who we are. It changes with time. As we change, what our makeup changes with us. Do you understand? Like if somebody adds weight, they look a certain way. When they lose weight, they look a certain way. They probably look totally different. You won't even recognize them. So anyway, so when you're talking about the covert narcissist, is more of a spiritual thing. Now I'm going into these details because I had a major discovery, and what had happened was so I started to dig deep, and okay, sorry, covert narcissism. What brings that about? Like, see, for narcissism is mostly about, especially with the overt, it's mostly starts as children, right? So it's mostly children that are really maybe over pampered, or children with lack. So the ones with lack, they have to develop a survival instinct from very young. So they learn to be very manipulative, very horrible, very, do you understand? It's like cutthroat. Do you understand? Like it's a dog eat dog world and everything. Do you understand? The ones that are over pampered are so used to getting stuff. Do you understand? Getting whatever it is they want. So when they are not getting it, they would devise any means possible. Do you understand? Any means, regardless of the consequences. Do you get? Any means possible to get what they want. That's the covert narcissist. Now with the overt one, it's more of a spiritual thing, and I think that's why it is such it is so difficult to talk about it. I think that's why it's so, like I said, for me, I have a motto, and it's that all roads lead back to the divine, like to the spiritual realm. Do you understand? Because we are spirit beings. So when it comes to like spiritual stuff, a lot of people tend to shy away from. I remember when I started this video, somebody had called me up and said, why are you talking about spiritual stuff? Oh my god, people here to hear that stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I have to, because of what I'm talking about. So I guess after that, it must have really been something. Maybe she was giving great advice, the person that called me, because do you understand, it now became such a difficult thing to actually discuss or talk about. And I started to experience all sorts of things just to silence me, basically. Anyway, so with the overt narcissist, what happens is that most of the time it's like maybe like a child that goes through abuse or something. Do you understand? Now, there are two types of vibration. There's like the higher vibration, which is like you're working with God, angels, Holy Spirit, whatever it is. There's the lower vibrations, you're working with the negative, obviously. Do you understand? Now, to be in that lower vibration, you must be suffering from like guilt, fear, anger. Do you understand? Because those things are attachment. They're like entity attachments. Fear is an entity attachment. Anger is an entity attachment. Those things are attachment. If you notice, some people have anger issues. Do you understand? They get angry, they get wild, and they're going to kill anybody. Do you understand? Some people have extreme jealousy that they're ready to actually destroy somebody's life because of that. So people have, do you understand? So those things are attachments. When it gets to that extreme, it's actually an attachment. Not that, don't get me wrong, not that when you get angry it's an attachment. No, it's when it becomes an issue and it's a frequent thing and you can't control. Okay, when it's uncontrollable, let me put it that way. So like addictions, like maybe drinking or smoking, it's an attachment. Do you understand? Those are things you literally have to clear yourself. Like I said, if whatever religion or whatever works for you, if you're a Christian, prayer, Muslim prayer, I don't know, whatever you do you understand, to clear your energy, to clear yourself of that attachment. Do you understand? Because those things are attachments. So anyway, so like for instance, if a young child is being abused for whatever reason, and the child is, see, for a child, they don't know how to express what they're feeling, so they probably would experience maybe guilt, maybe fear, obviously, and those things are of a lower vibration, if that makes any sense. So those things, like I said, they are attachments. So what they do is attach to the child, because the child is at the lowest state at that time, feeling fear, feeling guilt, feeling. That's why, you're not really supposed to feel fear as much. That's why, the negative would use fear to get at you, if that makes any sense. Okay, so because those things are attachments, so once you open the door to it, is that you get an attachment, and that's access into your life, because obviously, so when something is attached to you, is already, there's access into your life anyway. So the child will be at that low stage of fear, anger, guilt, because they can't really express themselves. So if they might not be crying out, obviously they will be crying out, but even if they're not, from their spirit is crying out. And don't forget, this is like a spiritual thing, so it's not physical. You don't see it. Do you understand? So their spirit will be crying out, but it's not crying out at a higher vibration, because it's in a state of fear, shame, guilt, or whatever it is. So it's in a lower vibration. So it's calling the lower vibrational entities, and that's where they get the attachment. With the covert narcissist, you can never really tell you're dealing with a narcissist till it's too late. But whilst you're dealing with them, they would have destroyed everything that has to do with your life, because when somebody is walking around with attachments, entities, do you understand? It's not really them. Do you understand? Whatever it is you're dealing with is not the person. That's why, being of the Christian faith, I apologize, it's not the religious channel, but this is a bit of a spiritual topic, so I have to go into it. It says we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. Do you understand? But against principalities and powers. So anyway, really, ideally, before I started this topic, I was supposed to say a word of prayer. So bear with me, please. Like I said, it's not religious, it's just what I'm talking about. I feel it requires it, so I do. Dear Lord, I cover this recording with the blood of Jesus. Let your shield of protection be over me, be over anybody listening to this message, be around my studio, in Jesus' name. Anyway, so it's an attachment. So the child calls on to lower entities, and they attach. So like I said, with a covert narcissist, you will never know. They will destroy you, and it's very secretive, very underhanded. Before you realize it, you realize that you've lost everything, pretty much everything, because in the Christian faith, the Bible says I don't want to be using those names by myself. So anyway, the negative seeks to kill, to steal, and to destroy, right? So anyway, so that's how you get narcissists. Now, I started to dig deep, and for some weird reason, I totally forgotten. And something came to my mind. Like, for me, it's not really, like I said, it's not really about what people are doing. It's what is prompting them to do that. I was concerned about that. Like, it's got to be something to do with foundation. It's got to be, was it something maybe like a generational curse, like a sin, like something. I wasn't sure what it was, and I was praying and just trying to get to the bottom of it. Like, I don't know what is going on. So I went into deep prayers. Like, I needed to get to the bottom of it. That was all. It wasn't so much about what was going on around me. It wasn't about the lies, the setup, the gang stalking, everything. It was crazy. Like, people would really literally gaslight me. Like, somebody would say something, I would say, why did you say that? And said, I didn't say that at all, just so that I can think I'm the crazy one. If that makes any sense. This is what I've been dealing with. But the truth is, I can't entertain fear, because if I'm actually called to do this, why won't I trust the God that wants me to share my story that will help people? Why won't I trust that I will be safe? And that's why I'm doing this. So I remembered. Funny story. So my mom had said the story to me, like, when she was pregnant. Now, I don't know if, sorry, this video might be a bit of a long one, or I might cut it and do another video maybe when it gets to 30 minutes, so that I'm not taking too much time. So she had told me that when she was pregnant, I don't know if it was a dream, I don't know if it happened, like, but like, I don't know. Like I said, I can't remember if she said it was a dream. I mean, she's late now, so I can't go back and find out. Or reality, I don't know. But she said it was a night, it was middle of the night or something. And it was something, I don't know. But as far as something, what she was trying to say to me was like something, she felt something attached to her. Like, it was something. And then she got up and started praying, and she prayed and she prayed and prayed. Like, but she felt something attached to her. Do you understand? Reason why I'm going into this is because what I remembered was, as a child, like till I was maybe about 14, or 13, maybe 13, because then I went to high school. I was highly narcissistic. Highly. So basically, that may have been an attachment, and it was like, but she was still pregnant for whatever reason. So I don't on it can't be a distress call, or maybe she felt pain and I felt pain as a baby inside her, and I made a distress call and I called onto an entity or something. I don't know. You know? So I remember I totally forgotten. Like, no kidding. I had zero memory of it. So my mind went back to that. Mine was so bad. Like, if somebody offended me, I had patience of like a year. I will take revenge. Like, I had zero. Like, I felt nothing. It was easy for me to just, do you understand? Do you understand? It was crazy. However, I was also a sensitive being, so to speak. Do you understand? It was a bit, but I was really young. I don't remember much, but I remember being highly, in fact, I remember one story. Like, I can't remember what I'd asked my mom for, and she didn't give it to me. And I went to take like a whole bag of tablet, like painkillers or something. I took like because my mom keeps like all sorts of like, so if you have a headache, there's, do you understand, there's like a cabinet box. Okay, yes. So I went to her medicine cabinet, and I swallowed almost everything. I knew I wasn't going to die. I just wanted to see her sweat. Like, that's narcissistic. Literally. I think my family thought I was a demon. Like, I was literally very evil, highly selfish, highly horrible, if I remember correctly. At the same time, it was just, it was anger. Do you understand? Like, do not upset me. Like, when I'm angry, I won't think about the consequences. It was anger. It just came on like when I was angry. So it was like the deep, do you understand? It came on when I was angry, and literally I could hold up a chair and fling. Like, I had zero conscience when I was angry. It was really bad. It was really bad. Until I fell sick. If I remember correctly, it was a near-death experience. Like, I was quite sickly as a child as well, so maybe that was what was big. I don't know, but anyway, so it was a near-death experience. If I'm not, you know, gone in for a bigger word, I really don't want to go too into the details of that right now. I don't think this is the time for it. But what I'm trying to say is, it was a near-death experience. It was a death experience, literally. But I mean, I'm here now. So that's how bad the sickness was. And when I came through, I went home. After that, gradually the anger went away. It just disappeared for some reason. So I hardly ever got angry. Like, yeah, I would still get angry once in a while, like, and it might be very vicious, like, literally. Do you understand? But it wasn't like it used to be. I wasn't seeking revenge or seeking to destroy the person or seeking something demonic anymore. I was just angry. Do you understand? So I would probably be vicious and scream and whatever. I was just angry. Initially, I would seek to destroy that person. I would seek for blood. I would seek for something very bad. Do you understand? Like, I had to. That was the only way out. If I didn't get it, I would not rest. I would wait patiently for a year to destroy whatever. Do you understand? So, and I know that I'm a bit of an extremist, right? So I can either be very hot or very cold, right? So, so I went into extreme empathy. Extreme. To the point of dumb. Like, dumb. Like, people would literally walk all over me and I don't say a word. People would take advantage. Times when I'm supposed to even tell people off, I won't say a word. I would just let them get away with it. Instead, I would feel bad if I told them off. Like, I would feel like, oh, they might feel bad. I don't want it to be like, I'm being whatever it is. I would look out for people that were destroying my life. Like, literally, I would see them. The worst part of it, like I said, I've always been a sensitive being as well. Like, I've always been an empath. And empaths are quite intuitive. Like, I don't miss shit. I see everything. No, in terms of like, if somebody is trying to do something, maybe way before they've done it, I can tell that's probably where it's going. So being a sensitive being, I mean, I'm sure other empaths can resonate with that. But I went into the extreme for whatever. I didn't like it. Something deep inside me, I didn't like it. I wanted to get up and tell people off. I just couldn't. I didn't know why. I didn't understand why I could not. So people did all sorts of things to me. People walked all over me. People treated me like shit. I mean, I would be in a relationship and the person would be treating me like shit, and I'll just be like, well, if I walk away, they were there for me like 10 years ago. So if I walk away now, I mean, I'm exaggerating on 10 years. They were there for me some time ago, or they stood by me as a friend. So, and this person will consistently treat me like trash, like I said. Narcissistic abuse. Do you understand? But I sat there. I would not say a word. I would be looking out for them. Oh, let me not make them feel bad. I mean, you can see somebody literally killing you and you're saying, I don't want the person to feel bad. Like, I got that extreme. Till about 3 years ago. I was tired of the abuse. It was too much from everybody, every angle, every section. Everybody wanted to do something. Like, it was like everybody wanted to take a piece of the pie, a bit of the foolish pie, the pie of the food. You understand? So everybody wanted to take a piece. It was, I mean, come on, really think about it. I'm not blaming them and I'm not calling them anything for, like, literally think about it. If you have a neighbor and you go to your neighbor, you're like, can I borrow a cup of sugar? And they're like, hey, I take the whole bag. Do you understand? The next day, you're like, can I borrow salt? Oh, take the whole bag. Can I borrow cornflakes? You would stop going to the grocery store after a while. Like, okay, there's the supermarket near here that has everything. For me, it was nothing. It meant nothing to me. Not really. I don't hold on to things like that. Like, it's not a big deal. But it was foolish because I let people walk all over me. I let people do all sorts. I saw it. I saw them doing it. I would ask them, they'll deny it, and I'll keep quiet. I would never correct it. I would never say anything about it. I would never. It was horrible. So about 3 years ago, I just got tired of it. I think the abuse got to a point where somehow something snapped and I woke up from whatever slumber I put myself in. So I started to study. I started to look into it because I needed to understand why I was the one going through this and why I was this way, why I couldn't do certain things, why I couldn't. Do you understand? Like, I would see somebody doing something bad to me, but I wouldn't be able to say anything. I would just keep quiet and let it slide. And they thought it was normal. So I started to learn, which is why I would always give YouTube this credit, or the people I listen to on YouTube the credit for that. They've been amazing because I've learned so much. But I was really doing it for me because I wanted to grow. I wanted to step out of whatever situation I was putting myself. So, as I grew, I learned, I studied, I kind of went back to God, back to the drawing board. I started to pray as well. And then I started to take my power back. I started to set boundaries. I mean, my house was like the sorority house where everybody could just walk in and take whatever it is. So now imagine that same person suddenly stops it. People are not going to like it. So I became public enemy, which is fine. It's okay. Because what does not break you will make you stronger. So I had to cut out people, places, things. I had to start setting boundaries. I had to start learning who I was and how to set boundaries for myself. I don't know how I was able to escape all the traps and everything. I guess it's because I understand the mind of a narcissist. I was one. Even though I didn't remember it anymore. I didn't even remember. That's the God. I had to pray. Literally put myself in a place of prayer, meditation and everything to dig deep why I was having this experience. Why me? I just needed to get to the bottom of it, because for me, it wasn't really about the people. I've been experiencing gang stalking, lies, blah, 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 from a very young age. So, really, I needed to understand why, because I couldn't go on like that. It was too much.